Hello everybody and welcome to another edition to Our Ventura. Today we have a very special guest. It is our beloved Neal Andrews, our City Councilman. Welcome.
Well, thank you. Thank you for saying beloved. I've never been introduced as beloved before.
Well, you're synonymous with Ventura.
I try to get around.
Yes, yes you are. Yes. You're one of the people that everybody knows in town. And like we were talking about before, you have a very long history of being in politics. 12 years on the City Council.
12 years on the City Council. A number of years before that, behind the scenes, helping other people get elected. Actually, my very first campaign in my whole life was Harry Truman in 1948. I was 5 years old, and my dad had me help work that campaign carrying literature.
That is so cool. And then you were hooked.
I was hooked.
Were you in politics in school?
Actually, not very much in school, no. Just afterwards.
Well, that's okay. You're making up for it now. Well, you know, as far as I'm concerned, you are synonymous with a benefactor for Ventura, for the economic development and all the programs that you've brought to fruition. Would you like to tell us about some of those?
I have been the champion for economic prosperity. Some people use the phrase economic development, and that's legitimate, but other people think that means sprawl or some kind of building and so forth. And we do a lot of just reuse, creative and constructive reuse of existing buildings and so forth. What we want is to have more economic transactions going on in the city and more economic prosperity. So I've been very active with that. I chair the National Policy Committee on Community and Economic Development, and we are strong advocates for municipalities, assisting municipalities in helping their business community thrive and therefore helping their whole community prosper. One of the things, as a matter of fact, we're going to meet tomorrow, and one of the things that we've been working very hard on is a program that would ensure municipal investments in public-private enterprises that were created in a community to build jobs, good-paying jobs, and bring more economic wealth to the community.
See, that's why you're the hero of town. And another thing that is another major feather in your cap is your Washington, D.C. Appointment.
Well, that is the National Policy Committee on Economic Development. Yes, it was.
What an honor.
It was a very big honor, and it's been responsible for a number of things.
Tell us about that.
I was invited to the White House back in the fall, and I actually got to meet the president and so forth to talk about these things and to help them understand at the White House the importance of the federal government's assistance to communities that are trying to stimulate economic growth.
It's not easy,
and
most cities don't quite make the cut.
No, we've done well here, though. It's a combination of programs here has helped us very much. But we invested, at my urging, we invested $5 million in the Jobs Investment Fund here a number of years ago. That money was a one-time repayment of a loan that the city had made, and so it was new money, one-time money. Mm-hmm. Wasn't a continuing, ongoing stream. And when you spend one-time money on ongoing expenses, then what are you going to do next year? So what we did is I urged them to put it aside into an investment fund it's basically a revolving fund that is useful to help finance job-creating industry here in town. Part of the outcome of that was our high-tech jobs incubator that exists.
That was my next question. Mm-hmm. Tell us about that.
Well, we took about $500,000 from that $5 million, and we invested it in this incubator. So far, the incubator has produced almost 20 different companies in town.
Wow.
And hundreds of jobs. Very, very successful. And they're all in the high-tech area with high incomes. So it's been just a wonderful program for the city.
How does that work?
Well, we work with some investor capitalists, venture capitalists, and ask them basically to bring companies that they learn about, that they think have high growth potential, to this city, and because they're investing in those companies.
Sure.
And we provide the office space, the utilities, the clerical services and so
Right.
forth in a condominium type arrangement at very low, reasonable rent, not totally giveaway, but reasonable rent. But it helps them then to get on their feet, grow, and develop their product line or their services. And after they get so big, then we help them find another location outside of our incubator in the city where they can, we call it brood, where they can raise more chickens, you know.
I love that.
And we just graduated one of our clients this past week, a very successful company, and it's relocating to a bigger office downtown.
That is amazing.
Yeah, and they're projected to double their number of employees by the end of the year.
Wow.
So and they've got 30 employees now. That's another be 60 at the end of the year.
Will this be an ongoing project?
Oh yes, oh yes. Yeah, and as I say, it's a revolving fund, so when these companies, if we give them some, let's say, financial support, when they pay it back, that money goes back into the fund with interest
That's
and
brilliant.
pays for new projects.
Are other cities interested in copying that model?
Yeah, actually they are. As a matter of fact, we've been invited twice to national conventions, national conferences to speak about the model. And many cities across the country are, in fact, doing something very similar.
It's very good, and
It
your
is good.
outcome is always a positive.
It is positive, that's right.
It's a win-win for everybody.
It is a win-win for everybody.
Does that include the downtown businesses that get together? Are they all involved? Or?
Well, no, actually, some of our clients in the incubator are involved in the downtown business community.
Okay.
But the downtown business community does not contribute financially to the program or anything like that.
So really, this doesn't cost the taxpayers anything.
It does not. That's the beauty of it. Now,
When are you going to run for president?
well, not ever. I can tell you that, not ever. But,
No, it's a hard road. You've hung in there all these years and done some amazing changes for our town.
Well, it's been a very productive period in my life, and we have we moved the economic situation in this city forward immensely over those years. We have, for the first time, we have an economic development strategy for the city. We have concrete programs that assist in business development, and you know, without that, this recession would have been much worse in this city. We were able, during the recession, to hold the line on most key services, partly because we had grown our business base, and partly because, of course, another project I've been involved in was the performance-based management,
Right.
which I introduced to the city, and that has helped us budget and first make our government more efficient, and then budget for what we call budgeting for outcomes, budget for the really important things you need to get done and focus on them. It's been very successful.
Well, I know you have a passion for the downtrodden.
I do that too.
Tell us about some of those programs.
Well, when I first came on council, the mayor at the time was Ray DiGiulio. He asked me what was I really interested in, and I said, well, I'm interested in the arts, and I'm interested in helping the disadvantaged. And Ray said to me, well, Neal, every member of the council wants to be associated with the arts and the arts community, so you get to be associated with the poor.
That's good. You wanted it.
I said it was fine with me. And so I've worked, of course, I've been on the Turning Point board of directors for many years now.
Tell us about Turning Point.
Turning Point is a wonderful organization in the city that actually is county-wide, but the headquarters are here in the city, that serves the mentally ill, the chronic mentally ill. And as a matter
They're
of fact,
the forgotten.
yeah, and many of our homeless, of course, are mentally ill. That's part of the reason why they're homeless. When the state hospitals were closed, they basically were told to go back to the community. Well, they came back to the community, but no one bothered to provide them a place to live or even basic essentials for life. So Turning Point does that. One of the things it does is it provides transitional living facilities, and it provides an emergency shelter for the mentally ill. More importantly, though, it focuses on recovery. And people don't understand you can recover from mental illness with the right kind of support and services. And that's what really Turning Point's really all about, is its recovery.
Wow.
From mental
See,
illness.
people don't know that.
Yeah.
And a lot of cities, they house the people, but they don't do anything else.
Right,
So-
exactly. Well, we do a lot for the mentally ill. In addition to that, of course, I've worked for 15 years with the Ventura Social Services Task Force, which is a coalition of all of the social services organizations in the city, along with a bunch of churches and other interested citizens who want to be supportive and helpful.
And that is the way this town is.
It is.
It really is.
It is.
That's how it presents itself, and that's really how it is.
When we meet with and there are other organizations in the other cities in the county, and there's a county-wide organization called the Coalition for Housing and Homelessness. When we meet with them, they look at us and they say, well, how do you do it? Because they have a hard time getting 10 people to come to a meeting. We have 50 people come to every meeting, sometimes 60, sometimes 100. Sometimes, as a matter of fact, we've had 300 at one of our meetings. So,
Wow.
and it's because first, we're well known in the community. Secondly, we get things done.
Yes.
And when we get things done, like the Safe Sleep program, or we have a program called Homeless Prevention, and those programs, that homeless prevention program has been identified by the National Council on Housing and Homeless, National Coalition on Housing and Homeless, has been identified as the model for the nation, for all cities. And it was born right here in Ventura.
Wow. Were you a part of the originating?
I wrote the first check for it.
Oh,
I wrote the very first check. Yeah.
that's wonderful.
And it's, it provides the ability for people, a family, that are about to become homeless because whatever reason, they had an accident, someone got hurt, can't go back to work, and so forth. It helps to pay the rent. That's what it does. It helps to pay the rent. For on average cost of about $800, we have kept over 500 people from becoming homeless, $800 per family.
Oh my goodness.
And if they become homeless, it often takes thousands of dollars to get them back into housing, first month's rent, last month's rent,
Yes.
and so forth and so on, security deposit.
Especially if there's children involved.
And especially if there's children. So, and this is just great. It's a very wonderful program, and it's sponsored by the Social Services Task Force of Ventura. It's administered by the Salvation Army, Project Understanding, and Catholic Charities. And all of those organizations do the administrative work for free. So every dime that's invested in the Homeless Prevention Fund goes to helping prevent homelessness.
Oh,
It's a wonderful program.
This is just a wonderful story, and it's happening all the time.
It's happening all the
It does not happen in other cities. You
No, it
don't hear
doesn't.
about this.
As a matter of fact, we were so successful. We started out trying to save 60 families a year. We were so successful at that the Rotary Club of Ventura decided that they would match us and they would save the 60 families a year.
Oh,
And
that's
so
great.
that's what we're doing.
Well, kudos to you. I can't believe our time is up already. But before we go, please let the people know how they can get a hold of you.
Well, really, the easiest way is simply call City Hall, the city manager's office. They have my contact information, and they can always reach me there. I keep office hours in City Hall from Mondays and Fridays from 3 to 5.
Okay.
Anybody can stop in and see me.
Oh, that's wonderful. Well, thank you so much for coming today.
Sure, I'm glad to be here.
Thank you. And thank you for tuning in to another edition of Our Ventura. I'm Gabriel, your host today. Have a wonderful day, week, and month. Peace.